I'm glad you've joined us on the interview. You may not realize it yet, but your life is about to change. I am so glad you joined us on the interview. We have a special treat for you this week. You're going to love it. I'm going to introduce somebody that has made a huge difference in my own personal life and the lives of millions of believers around the world. And he has become a very dear friend of ours, part of this family at ITBN. And that is Randy and Leslie Stonehill. Hey guys.
Hey, good to be with you.
What in the world are you doing in Texas?
Well, frankly, we're running from the law.
Okay.
I'm sorry, was that?
No, that's good. I just want to make sure that we capture that on, and then they can capture you in that process. So.
It's a shame I use my outside voice for that, huh?
Thanks a lot, honey.
Yeah, well, bail me out. No, hey, we are at the tail end of what we have entitled the March Madness Mostly Midwest, gotta love the alliteration,
Lots
March
of
Madness Mostly Midwest Tour. And we are blessed but exhausted. So you got us at a good time because I'm malleable and open to suggestion.
I think the oxygen before we started helped. So.
Yeah, good, we might bring it on, so yeah.
And you brought a child with you.
Yes, he who we have named the baby beast. Oh, you're not talking about my inner child. This is Nigel, the baby beast. He's the faithful tour mascot. Goes with us everywhere, and he's 21 years old. The Methuselah of pups. My wife Leslie takes wonderful care of him. I think he thinks that you're his mom, really.
It's very possible.
Yeah, but we travel so much too. It just makes us feel more at home. At least the whole kind of family unit is together, and we couldn't bear to leave him with even very caring neighbors. We just didn't want to be like in Seattle or something and get a phone call one night saying, I'm sorry, but he's departed. We thought,
a little bit different with a 21-year-old dog that is a puppy.
Yeah.
And it's become part of the ministry, really.
That's right.
We get to talk to all kinds of people.
Didn't he sing a little bit last night? Or? Oh, that was me. I'm sorry.
No, but go ahead and tell.
Yes, I get to talk to a lot of people just in parking lots at the hotel or
Airports
and restaurants and things. People who would never start a conversation with me come and talk to me.
Yes.
He's got his own business card and his own little page on our website.
And that is why I bring my wife with me everywhere I go. And so this is Donna. I should have introduced you earlier. So we love Nigel.
Good boy.
Yeah.
Randy, you've had that dog for a long time.
Yeah. I got him at a shelter about maybe 11 years back or something. I think we were probably when he was like 9 or 10, and he's like I said, he's become a very precious family fixture.
Now, it's very possible that the viewing audience is now being introduced to you. I'm not just being introduced. You certainly know him too.
I know him pretty well.
Donna is getting to know you. Tell us about yourself.
Well, that's a sort of a broad.
I mean, the legal parts that you could.
All right, yeah. Music has always been the language that spoke to me. Started making guitar noises with my mouth when I was 6. Started begging my dad for a guitar. I finally wore him down by the time I was 10 years old. He said, all right, and got my first little guitar. Started writing really bad love songs after Dee Dee Clark broke my heart in junior high school. I thank you for that now, Dee Dee. Thank you for the primal impetus, prettiest girl in school, and
First grade, something like that?
yeah, right, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember she wanted me to teach her to play guitar, and I was thinking, yeah, I would crawl on broken glass too. I can't even believe you're talking to me.
Oh, this is after the breakup.
No, wait, what? No, I'm just saying that. Okay, work with me, people.
I'm trying. I'm trying to track.
Met her at the Locker Bay.
Okay.
And she said, so you were playing guitar in history class or something? I said, uh-huh. And she said, would you come to my house after school and teach me to play guitar? And I'm thinking, oh, I would just do anything you want. And of course, then she became tired of the whole process like 2 or 3 days in, and she was like I said, a very pretty, very popular girl. So then she was moving on to other, relational terrain, and I was just heartbroken. So, but I had my little guitar, and I sat in the bedroom, and I thought, if I could just maybe write the right thing, it would speak to her heart, and I could win her back. And so I remember sitting in my room going, please don't say no. I beg you, don't go away. And please don't say no this time to me. So I saw her at school, and I said, Dee Dee, can you come out to the bleachers at lunch? I have something to share with you. And she went, okay. She's just tolerating me. So she sat down on the bleachers, and I went, please don't say no. I played her the song, and she went, that's, you're very sweet, and I really like you as a friend. I just went, no, not the F word. That's not that F word, please. Anyway, and so I thought, back to the drawing board, man. So I wrote about a dozen songs that all sounded a lot like, please don't say no, And then one day, after about a dozen of those, little by little, and unbeknownst to myself, they became a little more nuanced and complex. And I was staring out the window at sunset, dreaming about Dee Dee Clark as I did every night. And my older brother came walking down the hall, and the door was slightly open, and he pushed in the door, and he said, and I was going, go ahead and say it. All my life I've been a loser. So please don't delay it. If you come to say you love her. And my brother said, hey Rand, is that new song I heard by Lovin' Spoonful on the radio? And I turned to him and I said, no, Jeff, I wrote that. He said, really? Man, I guess I'm going to have to let you live. I said, thanks, buddy. He said, no, that's really good, Rand. And it was a revelation knowledge moment for me, And I thought, maybe this is something I really could do. So then a little while later, I, got into a rock band in high school. And it was a blast, You
never contacted John Sebastian in this process?
I did not, though I met him in Los Angeles years later, and I asked if he wanted to come over and jam later on, and he was so sweet. Thank you, John. He said, thank you for asking, but really, my schedule's so busy. When I'm not on the road, I'm at home. I said, oh yeah, I get it, but you might like this. Go ahead and say it. But anyway, so
I thought you were going to sing "Please Don't Say No."
Yeah. That would have. At least it would not have garnered an indifferent response. I just go. So I had this dream, and back in the late '60s, there were what was called, well, first of all, folk music was all the rage. So there were hootenannies. That's right. There were hootenannies, and it was a talent pool from various high schools in the area. you'd go to the audition, and if you made the cut, then you would do the concert Friday night. Well, by God's grace, I was good enough that I would make the cut every time I wanted to do one of those, and it was cool. You could interact with some other musicians, and one night these sisters got up to audition, and they were very good, and one in particular was very attractive, long white blonde hair, and
I feel a new song coming on.
yeah, there was. Yeah, and I went up to her. Oh, no, I got up. I did my audition. Came off stage, and she said, "You're really good." And I'm thinking, "And you're really cute." And she said, I didn't say that, but I said, "Well, thank you." She said, "I bet my brother would like to meet you." I said, "Really? And who's your brother?" And she said, "Larry Norman." I said, "Why do I know that name?" She said, "Well, he's the lead singer for People, which was a very hot regional band, and they'd had one national breakout hit, the B-side of a single by the Zombies from England." And I said, "That's your brother?" He's, I've seen him and the band at the San Jose Civic Auditorium opening up for the Mamas and Papas or Cream or the heavy hitter band,
I have been
international
there so many times.
touring band. Oh yeah, that's right, because you're a local boy. Yeah. So I said, "Well, I'd love to meet your brother," and little did I know that he was a believer, and he had left the band to really pursue this musical spiritual vision, taking rock and roll, the music of our generation, and using it to frame the timeless truth of the gospel. So, but she said, "Well, look, he's in Los Angeles recording for Capitol Records." I'm going, "Oh, my destiny!" That was the Mecca. I mean, they distributed the Beatles. That was where you wanted to be. And he said, "Well, so he's there and he's doing a solo project for Capitol, but he'll be home for Thanksgiving. Why don't we'll all get together?" And I went, "Bingo, heck yeah." And so she took me to a little coffee shop gig that he was doing solo. I thought, what, pray tell, is this? But the guy was so masterful. It was like if Jim Morrison of The Doors was a believer, it would be this guy. And I was going, this is really interesting. But there was this Jesus component in the lyric. And I didn't understand that, but the lyric was passionate and intelligent. The music was great. She took me backstage after the concert and she said, "Larry, this is the boy I told you about from high school. This is Randy Stonehill." And he looked at me and he said, "My sister says that you're very gifted. When you graduate, why don't you come south and I'll show you the ropes about the business." Man, my heart was beating like a bunny rabbit. I just went, that would be wonderful. So I begged my dad to let me go. And Chris, I was a wild hippie boy, and getting in trouble and stuff. So my dad just said, "Okay, you better keep your nose clean or we're just gonna have you locked in your bedroom until you're 35. Do you understand me?" I said, yeah, but Dad, you gotta let me go. He's with Capitol Records. I mean, my dad knew how passionate I was about
And you were
music.
how old at this time?
Well, I was 16 when I met Larry. Wow. I went, really it was, I went once in the summer, and that's another story, but found out that he stayed in touch with me, writing me letters, and I found out later that he'd been praying for me. So I went when I was 18. I graduated from high school. A miracle in and of itself, folks. And they say there's no God. No, they're wrong. So graduated from high school, like I said, begged my dad to let me go. And went to Los Angeles. And all the way down the road, I went with a friend of mine who was in I had my own little local band, so this guy played lead guitar in the band, and all the way down the road I'm saying, now look, Larry Norman, okay, he's cool, very talented, intelligent and funny, but he's a Christian like whatever that's about, I have no idea, because I had no Christian upbringing. And I said, so when he starts talking about Jesus, and he will, we don't want to insult him. We'll kind of smile and nod politely. And then we'll just shift the conversation over to, well, now tell us how things work at Capitol Records, and tell us about music publishing, and so that's what we'll do. And my friend said, yeah, that's the plan. So all the way down the road, this is what we're thinking, right? We got to Larry's house. My friend, Larry came out on the porch and said, glad you guys are here. You must be hungry. Why don't you come on in? And my friend stayed outside. He said, I'm just going to kick back and have a smoke, I'll be in a while. And he went, okay, that's fine. So went into Larry's house, and he seemed kind of skittish, sort of little Bambi on ice, and I didn't know why, I got to the kitchen, and he said, so listen, can I make you a sandwich? I said, yeah, no, that's great. I saw he had dishes in his sink, and I thought, to be a polite guest, I'd help him out. I said, so while you make the sandwich, I'll just start can I help you with these? And he said, yeah, sure. I'm thinking, this is odd. The room feels odd, And so I had my back turned to him, and I'm kind of messing with the dishes, and I heard him clear his throat. I found out later on he was looking up at heaven saying, all right, Lord, you got to get him. You told me to invite him, but he's got to become a believer if I'm going to work with him. And the Lord was saying, yeah, I'm a big picture guy. I get that. Just open your mouth. I'll do the rest. And Larry just thought, oh man, I don't even know where to start. The kid's not even interested. But okay, I'll obey. So Larry just said, so Rand, how you doing? And God honored his obedience, and that simple social nicety pierced me like a scalpel right through my sternum. And I kind of caught my breath. I turned around and I looked at him and I said, I don't know, man. I mean, how's anyone doing? We're all just free falling through space, aren't we? And then I turned back around and was working on the dishes. Larry told me later, he looks up at heaven and he said, oh, you're good. Oh, what a setup, And he said, no, Randy, we're not all just free falling through space. Look, I know you're away from home for the first time. You're trying to figure out what life is about. And I know that you came to Los Angeles to learn about the music business. And I want to help you with that. But I got to tell you, man, I believe that you're here for something far more precious. I think Jesus brought you here, and I think he wants to meet you. And I turned back around and I looked at him, and I started to sense this presence in the room. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And Larry just stared me down and he said, do you want to pray with me? And I laughed in his face. I just went, no, man, I don't even know what that means. No, I don't want to pray with you. And I turned back around and I'm messing with the dishes now. And now my knees are starting to quake and I'm thinking, what is happening here? Is this an acid flashback? I thought, no, I've had plenty of those. Sitting at the dinner table with my mom and dad, and the Salisbury steak is starting to float. I'm going, can I be excused just to go do my homework? Because this is another fluorescent purple evening, and I know you don't understand. But, so I go, no, okay, I'm not having an acid flashback. Who is in the room with us? There's someone in the room with us. And at this point, Larry began to feel the presence of God as well. And he was emboldened. He said, Randy, so you don't want to pray with me? It's a shame, because I'm telling you, God has everything for you, primarily the treasure of himself. That's why we're here, created by him and for him. And until you come to that foundational truth, buddy, it's all truck tires on a gravel road, a lot of noise and dust and spinning, but you're not going anywhere. I'm telling you, Randy, anything he removes from your life with your little agenda, He does so that he can replace it with something far richer. It's communion with the lover of your soul. Randy, do you want to pray with me now? And I turned back around and I said, just leave me alone, man. I don't want to pray with you. But I could barely catch my breath. And I just felt like God was leaning in saying, I'm here and I love you. But I didn't make robots. I made people in my image. So I'm not going to twist your arm. But I'm going to come as close to you as you can stand, because I want you to remember I want you to know who's calling to you. So at this point, Larry's, like I said, things are getting so intense. It's almost like the walls are starting to shake, and Larry just knew, I remember actually the first thing I found out later when I said no is he looked up at heaven and he said, no, what should I do? And it was like the Holy Spirit said, ask him again. It's his birthday. And Larry said, no, Lord, his birthday's in March. And it's like the Holy Spirit saying, don't argue with me. It's not his biological birthday, it's his spiritual birthday. Now is the time, today is the day. Just work with me here, And Larry went, okay. Randy, now is the time, and today is the day of salvation, And you want to pray with me? And again, I had said no. But then the third time's the charm, so to speak. Larry just knew that God had me by the spiritual scruff of the neck, and he wasn't going to let go. He said, man, again, Randy, you're away from home for the first time. You need to face the world like a man. You need to face this issue like a man. Pray with me now. I'm telling you, you will know. You want to know the big picture of reality? You will know in 5 minutes if this is just the fantasy of desperate men or if Jesus is indeed the Savior of the world. Because he's here, buddy, and he's knocking on the door of your heart, and you know it, and I know it. But again, he's waiting for you to reach out in relationship. You want to pray with me now? And I finally, I turned and I just said, okay, I'll pray with you. Because I thought I was going to throw up, pass out, or fly. The presence of the Spirit was so thick you could slice it with a butter knife. And I just said, okay. And so Larry said, okay, all right, okay, come here, just sit by the kitchen table, okay, now just take my hands. Now I'm going to lead you in a sinner's prayer, and if you agree with me, just say yes. I said, okay. So he led me in a simple sinner's prayer. And then when he was done, it terrified me, because he looked at me and he said, now, this is not religion, this is relationship. This is the beginning of a father-child relationship. You need to talk to God in your own words, because he is your father. And I said, okay. So I kept holding his hands and I said, dear God, I thought, I just got to start. You can't fool God. You just be honest, So I said, dear God, I don't really believe in you, but I believe in you enough that I'm talking to you. And I don't use words like sin. But today I know what it means. I know what it means, because I've been playing God myself, and I've hurt other people, because at the end of the day, you just feel like you're all alone. And I'm sorry for hurting you. And in the light of who you are, I don't know why you would even bother. But I guess that's because you're God and you love with a holy love. And so if you want me, I'm yours. Just reach me in a way I can understand, and I will follow you. And boy, was he reaching me in a way I could understand. He was going, the 60s were very loud for this young gentleman, chasing girls and a lot of rock and roll and getting high. You know what? I'm going to show him loud. I'll show you loud. You want to see demonstrative? You want to see who really rocks and rolls, I'll rock and roll your soul right now, buddy. You know, and I looked up at Larry. He had tears streaming down his face. And we both stood up, and I mean, I could barely stand up at this point. And he hugged me, and he said, I've been waiting 2 years for you to pray that prayer. Ever since I met you, God told me that we were going to work together. And I looked at him, and it was it was just hysterical, because I looked at him and I said, okay, now don't get emotional on me. And we're both just like, you know, we're like butter, and my knees are quaking and I'm wheezing, you know. And he said, okay, man, okay. And then I remember I leaned up against the area heater. One of those, this is one of those houses from the 50s. So you had those metal grate heaters, and it's on the floor, and then it goes up the wall. I leaned up against this heater, and I exhaled. And when I exhaled, it was like a physical weight left me. It was almost like darkness or something. The weight of darkness left me. And I opened my eyes, and I felt like a man who has spent his entire life bent over, looking at his shoes, never dreaming that there was another perspective. And all of a sudden I was standing upright, and I could see forever. And again, things were so intense that I found myself walking around Larry's house, hugging myself, just saying, because I'm trying to process what's happening. It's like when worlds collide, man. And I'm going, I just feel so good. I just feel so good. I just feel so good. And finally it got so intense that I was muttering under my breath, just saying, okay, I believe. Don't please back off. Don't come any closer, because I really did think, like I said, I was just going to go flying. And it was like the Lord was saying, I'm a gentleman, and I'll let you call it. I'll come as close. I want you to know who I am, but I'll come as close to you as you allow, and no closer. So you tell me, you know. And so I finally just said, please, no more. I believe. It was like the cowardly lion and the Wizard of Oz. I do believe. You know, just going, I believe. Okay. So slowly but surely the presence started to lift. And Larry and I are both just looking at each other sort of in shock, you know. And then in his wisdom, he said something that startled me. He said, now Randy, if you want, you can chalk up this afternoon's experience to an acid flashback or to some emotional dynamic. You're away from home for the first time. You call it whatever you want, okay? We'll just let it be, just kind of push it off to the corner. Start talking to God every day like He's your Father, because He is. And start reading the Bible. It is the living, catch the word, living Word of God. It will tell you who He is. It'll tell you who you are. It'll tell you His promises and what He requires. And just be cool-headed about what just happened here today. But about 2 months from now, look over your shoulder back to this afternoon, and you will bust out laughing, because you will see the unmistakable handprints of God all over the road of your journey, and you will know for certain that what transpired here this afternoon was indeed the hand and the heart of God. And I just said, I was thinking to myself, boy, well, he's awfully cocky. But man, I know that what just happened to me was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I stumbled out onto the front porch, and there's my friend, the lead guitarist. He's leaning up against the car. His eyes are just like as big as saucers. The ash from his cigarette is like all the way, you know, like drooping over like something out of a cartoon. And he's just looking at me as if now one Randy went into the house and then the pod people came But apparently they were pretty wonderful pod people. Remember the body snatchers that moved?
do.
It was the spiritual body snatchers, and they showed up, and now another Randy has walked out of the house. He's just looking at me in shock, you know. I said, buddy, you are never gonna believe what just happened to me. Actually, who just happened to me? He said, no, that's okay. I heard it all through the screen door. Listen, I'm just gonna go back to San Jose. I'm really not comfortable. I said, but we just got here, man. Don't you want to learn about the music business and everything? He went, no, I got a dental appointment. I really gotta go. Man, he bolted. I did not see that guy for 10 years. And then he came to one of my concerts at the San Jose Civic Auditorium where I was sharing the gospel. And I think, as I recall, I have to look him up on the internet, but I think he told me, I saw him after the show, and I said, what are you doing here, man? He said, man, I saw your name in the paper. I had to come see what you're doing. But I think God had gotten a hold of him. And, you know, the rest is history.
We just started. We really did.
Yeah.
You probably don't realize it, but you're hearing a story of history in the making that has forever changed the way you listen to Christian music. We're going to have to do a second part, so make sure you tune back in, you catch the interview again, because we're going to talk more about this road, the journey, not just that Randy has been on, but you can be on too. We'll see you next time. Shalom, shalom.